Left alone with my cats, I discovered a touching journey of love and life-changing moments. Danny stood outside the factory gates, heart racing, a tsunami of emotions crashing over him. This was it. The final whistle. After decades of relentless work, laboring in the same place, building a life brick by brick, he was cast adrift like a broken boat on tide. The news had come swift and brutal: the plant was closing. His life reduced to a simple letter on company stationery. As he glanced down at his worn work boots, he felt a sense of crushing self-doubt clawing at his chest. He was supposed to have been the provider, the reliable rock for his family. Now, that rock felt more like a millstone, dragging him under. His wife, Lisa, and their kids had been a steadfast support, urging him to lean on them. But the thought of their pity burned him. He felt like a failure, drowning in a flood of inadequacy. Solitude was his refuge now, a lonely prison built of shame. At home, however, he wasn't completely alone. His 3 endearing cats Mittens, Sprinkles, and Shadow brought some solace. They played with reckless abandon, chasing shadows and pouncing on invisible prey, their antics reminding him of simpler times. Each playful leap they took filled him with a bittersweet warmth, a flicker of joy that seemed so distant before. He couldn't help but smile as Mittens made a collective leap, tumbling in a chaotic roll. It was during these quiet moments that Danny had a spark of blog, a way to share his life, the fun and the folly of being a cat dad. He poured his heart into the keyboard, sharing stories drenched in humor and nostalgia. His words felt like a lifeline, offering glimpses into a world that was fast becoming unbearable. Before he realized it, his tales resonated with neighbors who had kept their distance, revealing their own struggles with vulnerability. Old friendships began to sprout anew in the comments section, a thread weaving them closer together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when a sense of community began to take root, disaster struck. Mrs. Thompson, his elderly neighbor known for her warm cookies and attentive ear, faced an eviction that sent waves of indignation through the neighborhood. Danny felt a swell of anger brewing within him, the injustice of it all, so close to home. The once close community now stood divided, opinions clashing like thunderclaps on a stormy night. He recalled Mrs. Thompson's smile, her laughter ringing like a bell on a summer day. As he sat there, heart heavy, he wrestled with the shadows of his past failures. Could he step up for her? In that moment of shocking clarity, he knew this was no longer just about him. It was about showing the strength he thought he lost, and rallying the neighborhood to fight for what was right. But would his newfound courage be enough to bridge the growing divide? As hope and fear danced within him, he took a deep breath, ready to rise to the occasion, wondering if he was finally on the path to rewriting not just his story, but theirs as well. The following morning, the sun spilled golden light across Danny's kitchen table. Staring at his cup of coffee, he felt a new resolve brewing within him. The warmth of the mug in his hands contrasted starkly with the chill of uncertainty swirling about him. Today, he would take action, not only for himself but for Mrs. Thompson and the community he had started to connect with again. He could hear Sprinkles purring softly nearby, the gentle rhythm grounding him. It was a reminder that sometimes, change begins with small steps. After one more deep breath, he grabbed his phone, heart thumping in his chest. Typing a quick message, he called for a meeting, putting out the word to gather the neighborhood together in support of Mrs. Thompson. Within hours, the responses flooded in, some supportive, others skeptical. But what struck him the most was how many had reached out, willing to stand beside him. Each reply lit a flicker of hope, reminding him that he wasn't alone in this fight. When evening came, Danny found himself standing at the corner of their small street, the air thick with anticipation. Laughter echoed from homes, children played tag in the fading daylight, and neighbors exchanged pleasantries, their chatter a soothing backdrop. As more folks arrived, he smiled at the familiar faces, They had seen him before, but tonight they were here for a purpose bigger than any one person. As he stepped up to the makeshift gathering area, he realized he had a choice to make. He could let his fears hold him back, or he could embrace the opportunity to lead. The nervousness twisting in his stomach transformed into energy. He cleared his throat, the soft murmurs dwindling to silence. "Thanks for coming, everyone," he began, his voice steadying as he found the rhythm of his words. "Mrs. Thompson has always been there for us, baking cookies, lending an ear, sharing her wisdom. Now, she needs us." He glanced at the concerned faces. "We can't let her lose her home. Eviction isn't just an issue for her, it's an issue for all of us as neighbors. We must unite." A murmur rippled through the crowd, and nods of agreement blossomed. The very act of speaking his truth ignited a passion within him, something he hadn't felt in years. He continued, his heart beating steady and assured. He shared ideas on forming a petition, brainstorming ways to rally support. "Let us stand together," he implored, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "We owe it to one another to fight for what's right." As he spoke, he saw determination reflect back at him, expressions morphing from indifference to resolve, igniting a spark of community spirit that had long lain dormant. When the meeting wrapped up, Danny felt a sense of purpose wash over him, a surprising relief surging through his body. They had begun to forge a plan, a mission that would bolster not just their neighbor, this would enrich their community too. Afterward, as the crowd dispersed, he found himself surrounded by a newfound energy. Lisa hugged him tightly, pride glimmering in her eyes. "You did it, Danny. You stepped up." "Yeah, but it's just begun," he replied, feeling the weight of what was ahead. Yet, for the first time in forever, that weight felt lighter, but just as hope began to rise like the morning sun, a message pinged on his phone, an unexpected notification that stopped him in his tracks. It was news about an upcoming vote on housing regulation that could change everything. Would they have to fight even harder? The new chapter of his life was unfolding in ways he never imagined, with challenges he couldn't yet see. And as he stared at the words on his screen, he knew this was just the beginning. What would he find on this winding path? Would it lead to triumph or despair? Danny stood frozen, staring at his phone as the implications of the notification settled in. An upcoming vote on housing regulations. It felt like the ground beneath him was shaking. The hope he'd just ignited seemed ready to flicker out. But then, a thought struck him, maybe this was the moment they needed to seize. Around him, the neighborhood was bursting with energy, kids racing home, laughter ringing out, families gathering for dinner. But the weight of his concern tugged at him. He couldn't shake the feeling that the community's spirit hung on a knife's edge. "Danny!" Lisa called out, breaking through his mental fog. "Are you okay?" He turned to her, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just thinking." She moved closer, her brow knitted in concern. "What's up?" He held up his phone, showing her the message. "There's a vote coming. We need to prepare for this." Lisa's eyes widened. "Oh boy. Do you think they know?" "I think we have to make sure they do. We can't just sit back. If we don't rally more support now, we might be too late." She nodded, raw determination lighting her face. "Then let us get back out there. There's no time to waste." As they spread the word, they felt the enthusiasm ripple through the neighborhood again. Danny realized how quickly a spark could reignite passion and hope. People buzzed with ideas. Petitions were printed. Flyers were drafted, each set to draw attention to the looming threat. The following days flowed into a whirlwind of meetings, brainstorming sessions, and rallies filled with chants echoing through their small street. Danny led the charge, fueled by the collective commitment around him. No longer just a gathering of neighbors, they were now more of a movement. Families and friends came together, unified, their hearts set on saving Mrs. Thompson's home. Danny felt powerful, part of something larger than himself, yet, in quieter moments, doubt would creep in. Late at night, sitting on his porch with Sprinkles nestled in his lap, he pondered the weight of their fight. He felt responsible for their hope. What if they fell short? "You're not alone, Danny," he whispered to Sprinkles, stroking her soft fur. "They believe in this, they need this from me." His resolve deepened. Then, one evening, as they finalized their strategies outside the community center, an elderly man named Mr. Jenkins approached. He'd always been an outsider keeping to himself, yet now, he walked with a firmness that captivated attention. "Danny," he said, his voice a gravelly whisper. "I want you to know my daughter faced eviction last year. She lost her home. I don't want to see that happen to anyone else." His eyes glistened, and Danny felt tears prick his own. "We won't let that happen again." The gathering seemed to wrap Mr. Jenkins' words in a blanket of strength. They began discussing how important stories like his were to the mission, giving determination a face and a name. Yet as the vote loomed closer, rumors swirled of a possible last-minute agenda shift among the council members. Danny received notes stirring up confusion. Disarray could be the card they had to play. What if other communities struggled with the same issues? Tension twisted in his stomach again, his sense of urgency heightening. "We can't give up," he declared in a meeting later that week. "If we fall apart now, everything falls apart." As he spoke, it was as if the entire room was breathing with him, a sea of integrity forming around their shared fears and aspirations. But just as everything seemed to rally, a man in a sharp suit burst through the doors, an air of authority trailing behind him. "I have news," he called, causing every conversation to hush. Danny's heart raced. Would this man bring the relief they craved or the dark twist they dreaded? The answer loomed heavy in the air, and Danny couldn't shake the sensation that their greatest challenge yet was only moments away. What announcement would this stranger reveal? And could it tip the scales in their fight for Mrs. Thompson's home? The man's voice carried weight as he stepped into the room, his eyes scanning the crowd. Danny held his breath, feeling the collective heartbeat of the neighborhood. In that moment, everyone seemed to share the same unspoken fear. "Thank you for gathering here," the man began, his tone almost formal. "My name is Mr. Barnes, and I represent the city council." He paused, letting the silence stretch. Danny could see Lisa tense beside him. Mr. Barnes cleared his throat. "I understand there's been considerable concern over the upcoming housing regulations." Nods of acknowledgement rippled through the room. "I'm here to address those concerns directly." Danny's palms began to sweat. Was this the moment they'd been preparing for? Did they stand a chance? After extensive discussions, he continued, "The council has considered proposals from various community members, and I must say there may be changes to the initial vote." Gasps echoed in the confines of the community center. Danny felt each breath echoing, heavy with anticipation. However, Mr. Barnes leaned forward slightly. "A new development has emerged. We've received concerns about potential impacts on property values and the economic implications of retaining certain housing regulations. This means, quite simply, that the conversation is shifting." Shifting where? Danny couldn't help himself, his question burst forth, urgency coloring his voice. The crowd turned to him, energy crackling in the air. "We're considering alternative approaches, including the possibility of a temporary freeze on certain directives." Mr. Barnes' face remained inscrutable, but Danny caught a hint of something in his eyes, a flicker of empathy, perhaps. "This will only be effective if the community comes together actively to voice your concerns." Fear swept through the crowd like a chill breeze. Temporary? That didn't feel like a victory, it felt precarious, just a way to delay their fight. Their hopes dangled on a thin thread, and Danny could see it in the furrowed brows and clenched fists around him. "You mustn't back down, though," Mr. Barnes added, raising his voice above the murmurs. "If you want to secure your neighborhoods, to keep families in their homes, the urgency has never been higher. Speak up. Be heard. This needs your passion." In that moment, determination crashed into fear. The realization hit Danny like a wave: the fight couldn't only be about Mrs. Thompson but for every home in their community. Danny turned to Lisa, her eyes reflecting the same determination he felt building inside. "We have to organize again. Make this a rallying cry. We can't let them think we'll roll over." Absolutely, Lisa responded, fire in her voice. We need to mobilize people now. With that, Danny felt the old weight of responsibility shift. It wasn't just about saving a single home anymore, it was about igniting a movement. He felt alive with purpose, his heart pounding in rhythm with the resolve in the room. Stories began to emerge from the crowd, neighbors sharing their struggles, their fears, all of it weaving a tapestry of community strength. As they began brainstorming and organizing once again, a collective spirit rose, replacing the previous cloud of uncertainty. The spark became a flame, voices joined to form a powerful chorus. Danny caught Mr. Barnes watching him, an unreadable expression crossing his face. In that brief moment, Danny locked eyes with the man, a silent understanding passing between them. But just as the energy exploded into plans and excitement, Mr. Barnes held up a hand. Just remember, there are forces at play that may not want this change, he warned, his voice sharp. You must tread carefully. Confusion settled in, unease wormed its way back into Danny's thoughts. What lay ahead? Did they truly have the strength to face what was coming? As the meeting concluded and neighbors filed out, whispers filled the air, the vibration of hope laced with concern. Danny considered the path forward, each choice bearing weight. This was only the beginning, and there was still so much unknown. Danny, Lisa said. Her voice sawing through his thoughts. What if we don't win? What if this falls apart? He looked at her, determination hardening like steel in his voice. We won't know until we try. But I'll fight for every single one of us. With every step into the uncertain night, Danny felt the wind shift, carrying the scent of something powerful unfolding. But would they have enough to confront the challenges ahead? The next days promised to test everything they had fought for. What shadows awaited them in the depths of the council's decisions? And would their united front withstand the storms that threatened their cause? The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the streets as Danny and Lisa walked home. The air felt electric with possibility, yet a gnawing anxiety coiled in Danny's stomach. The meeting had ignited something within him, a desire to push back against the looming threat to their community. But this new urgency also carried the weight of uncertainty. Do you really think we can make a difference? Lisa asked, her brow furrowed as they approached her house. Her voice wavered, betraying the vulnerability she kept hidden under layers of determination. Danny paused, searching for the right words. I believe we have to try. If we don't, what are we even fighting for? His heart raced at the thought of fighting for Mrs. Thompson and all the families like hers, threatened by the very changes meant to improve their lives. Lisa nodded, but a flicker of doubt lingered in her eyes. I just wonder if we're prepared for what could happen next. Those forces Mr. Barnes mentioned, they're not going to give up easily. He took a deep breath, his resolve hardening even further. Neither will we. The moment felt pivotal, a rallying cry echoing in his chest. We have each other, and we have our community. We're stronger together. As they reached her porch, the air was filled with the sounds of cicadas and distant laughter. It felt almost surreal, this juxtaposition of normalcy against the chaos brewing beneath the surface. Lisa smiled, the hint of fear still evident in her eyes. Okay, let us do this. We'll start by gathering our neighbors tomorrow. The more voices, the better. Exactly. He replied, excitement bubbling at the thought of taking action. Maybe we can even get a petition going, raise awareness on social media. There's power in numbers. Just then, the door swung open, and Mrs. Thompson stood there, her hands clenching a dish towel nervously. She had been watching from her window, eyes wide, filled with concern and curiosity. I heard the commotion, she said, her voice shaking slightly. How did it go? Danny and Lisa exchanged a look before Danny spoke up. There's hope, Mrs. Thompson. But we need your help. We need everyone's help to make sure our voices are heard. Mrs. Thompson's eyes softened, yet the worry etched in her face remained. I've lived here for over 30 years. This place is my home. She hesitated, taking a deep breath. I just don't want it to change. Not for the worse. Then let us fight for it, Danny said, stepping closer. We need all of you, everyone who loves this neighborhood. Together we can make them listen. She smiled, the worry transforming into determination. Then let us do it. I'll rally the others. Emma, a girl from down the street, joined them, overhearing their conversation. I want to help, she exclaimed, her ponytail swinging as she bounced on her feet. I have friends who can spread the word online. Hope bloomed anew in Danny's chest, the flame of their movement flickered wildly, growing stronger with every conversation. As they began to discuss their plans, laughter broke through the tension. Moments like these reminded Danny of what was at stake. But just as the spirit of unity was building, the unease from earlier crept back in. He remembered Mr. Barnes's words, the warning that echoed in his mind. There was something lurking in the shadows, and they weren't facing an ordinary fight. As the sun gave way to twilight, Danny looked into the faces around him, each one representing a unique story, a battle as personal as his own. They were all intertwined now. Are we ready for this? He wondered, voicing the nagging question. What if our efforts don't change anything? The hesitation hung in the air like fog, but Lisa's voice cut through it, steady and clear. Even if we try and fail, we'll know we stood up for what matters. That's worth it. With laughter and hopeful plans weaving together, they vowed to meet at the local park tomorrow evening. As they said their goodbyes, Danny lingered, struck by the feeling that tomorrow promised confrontation, both with an outside force and perhaps even among themselves. What would it take to build the bridge they needed, and would they be ready for the challenges that lay ahead? The following day, the sun rose bright and golden, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. Excitement thrummed through Danny as he and Lisa met at the local park, their small group buzzing with energy. Mrs. Thompson was already there, chatting animatedly with Emma, who had brought her tablet to help create social media posts. Look at this, Emma said, tapping the screen and showing the group a colorful flyer she had made. It was full of bold letters and bright colors, calling for their neighbors to join an emergency meeting that evening. If we share it everywhere, people will come. Danny felt a rush of pride to see so many eager faces. This is amazing. We can hand out flyers, talk to everyone we see. His enthusiasm was infectious, and he could see Lisa starting to smile more widely, but amid their excitement, worry nudged at the back of his mind. What if they didn't get the turnout they hoped for? What if the forces against them were too powerful? Danny, you okay? Lisa's voice pulled him back to reality. She studied him, concern etched into her features. Yeah, just thinking. Can we really pull this off? We can, she said, her voice firm. It's just about taking the first steps. They spent the morning canvassing the neighborhood, spreading their message and handing out flyers. Each conversation sparked hope, and with every nod or smile received, the fire inside Danny burned brighter. It felt real, unlike anything he had experienced before. As they walked, they met Mrs. Johnson, an elderly woman with kind eyes. You're standing up for something important, she said, her words wrapping around Danny's heart. It's about time someone did. Thank you. We're hoping to gather everyone tonight, Danny replied, feeling a responsibility in those words. He exchanged a glance with Lisa, and he could see the same belief mirrored in her eyes, but as the afternoon wore on, Danny's stomach twisted with anxiety. The realism of their mission settled heavy on his shoulders. A knot of dread formed at the thought of facing people who might not support them, or worse, those who might threaten them. As the sun dipped low again, and the shadows started to stretch, a small crowd gathered in the park. Familiar faces slowly appeared, their presence bolstered by the energy of community. He spotted Mr. Barnes walking toward them, face lined with worry but filled with determination. I'm glad to see so many people, Mr. Barnes said, addressing the assembly as Danny's heart raced. This fight isn't just about zoning laws, it's about the heart of what defines us as a community. Danny took a step forward, encouraged by Mr. Barnes' words. We are here because we care about our home, he shouted. We have to fight for our neighborhood, our families, and our future together. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Danny felt a swell of emotion rise within him. These were the people he had grown up with, the laughter and love he had known his whole life. But then, from the edge of the crowd, a loud voice interrupted. "And what makes you think you can change anything? You think you're some kind of heroes? You're just kids." Danny's heart dropped as heads turned, uncertainty rippling through his newfound strength. The voice belonged to a man Danny recognized, someone who had the same fears of change but had chosen to wallow in anger instead. The crowd murmured, a tide of nervous energy washing over them. Would they really push back against someone who seemed resolute in his opposition? Before he could think, Danny stepped up, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze settle on him. "Just because we're young doesn't mean we don't matter." His voice trembled, but he forged ahead. "We care deeply, and we'll keep fighting because our home is worth it." The air felt charged, as if the whole park had taken a breath. Their battle was just beginning, and the challenge ahead loomed larger than any of them had anticipated. Would they find the courage to face this man, or would doubt seep into their resolve? As he looked around, he wondered, would their community rally together, or would fractures begin to form at the first signs of resistance? The man's voice echoed through the park, a harsh contrast to the warmth of the gathering. For a moment, silence fell, heavy with uncertainty. Danny's heart raced, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Would they stand together or let fear fracture their unity? Then, almost as if the tension snapped, Lisa stepped forward. "You know, you're absolutely right," she said, her voice steady and calm. "We are kids. But that just means we have fresh ideas, new energy, and a real desire to see our community thrive. We may be young, but we're not afraid to stand up for what we believe in." Her words rippled through the crowd, igniting a sense of shared purpose. Danny saw faces light up with determination. Mr. Barnes nodded in agreement, and Mrs. Johnson murmured something encouraging to the person next to her. The man who had challenged them looked momentarily taken aback, his bravado flickering as he assessed the crowd. "What can you possibly know about the real world?" he challenged Lisa, but there was less bite in his voice. "More than you think," Danny interjected, emboldened. "We've grown up here. We've seen our neighborhood change. We've seen it thrive and struggle, and we're willing to do something about it." "Are you?" Danny's words hung in the air, prompting a collective intake of breath. The crowd shifted, forming a wall of solidarity behind him. Mrs. Thompson stepped forward as well, her voice strong. "This is our home. We're not asking for permission, we're here to stand up for it. We've worked hard, and we'll continue to fight for our neighborhood, our friends, and our families." Cheers erupted again, louder this time. The shift was palpable. Hope and determination filled the air, swirling around Danny and Lisa like a protective shield. The man who had confronted them seemed to deflate slightly, his bravado wavering. "You think this will make a difference?" he scoffed, but the edge had left his voice. In that moment, he appeared smaller, almost lost. Danny took a deep breath, his voice steadier now. "Yes, it will. Change starts with a single voice, and right now, we're the ones willing to speak up. If we can't change things ourselves, then who will? We owe it to ourselves to try." As the crowd rallied, cheering and clapping, Danny felt an incredible rush of joy and empowerment. It was like they were pulling together, forming an unbreakable bond of shared values and dreams. The earlier fear had drifted away, replaced by a fierce hope, but then, as if sensing their rising spirit, the man rolled his eyes and turned, beginning to walk away. "Good luck with that," he muttered, almost dismissive. "Maybe next time, you'll feel differently." Lisa called after him, her voice buoyant. And as the crowd cheered, Danny felt the rush of elation mingled with dread. They had found their voices, but the fight ahead was still filled with uncertainties. What if they faced bigger obstacles than this? Were they really ready for what was to come? With a heart full of questions, Danny caught Lisa's eye. They shared a knowing look, a silent commitment that they would embark on this journey together. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it side by side. As the meeting progressed, the energy shifted, plans formed, and hope blossomed anew. But Danny couldn't shake the feeling that more was brewing beneath the surface. Would the community hold firm against dissent, or would they be tested in ways they hadn't anticipated? The night was still young, and the real challenges loomed just beyond the horizon. The crowd dispersed slowly, lingering in clusters, buzzing with excitement and chatter about what they could do next. Danny felt a sense of pride swell within him, yet an undercurrent of anxiety tugged at his chest. They had made a stand, but was it enough? "Hey, Danny!" Lisa's voice pulled him from his thoughts. She jogged over, her face flushed with the heat of the moment. "Did you see how everyone reacted? I think we really made an impact." "I hope so," he replied, trying to mask his worry. "But what if he's right? What if they don't take us seriously?" Lisa rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "That guy? He's just afraid. We challenge the way things are. Change is scary for some people. But look at us. We're finally speaking our truth." Danny smiled at her enthusiasm, but doubt still danced in his mind. It seemed surreal, this shift. Just moments ago, he felt paralyzed under the weight of resistance. Now, they had breathed life into something that had felt impossible. Mrs. Thompson approached, her kind eyes glimmering under the park's fading lights. "You two were incredible tonight," she said, pride lacing her voice. "You spoke from the heart, and that's what the community needs." "Thanks, Mrs. Thompson," Danny said, the warmth of her encouragement settling over him like a blanket. A man with graying hair and weathered skin wandered closer, curiosity etched on his face. "You kids stirred something in me," he said, scratching his chin. "I've seen the park go downhill over the years, and I never thought folks like you could care enough to change it. What's your next step?" Danny opened his mouth to answer, but it was Lisa who piped up. "We're thinking about organizing cleanup days, community meetings, and finding ways to get more parks in the neighborhood." The man chuckled, an unexpected lightness to his demeanor. "That's the spirit. You get a handful of us old folks rallying behind you, and we might just shake things up." As the evening wore on, more people approached. Each wanted to share their ideas or support the kids' mission. Danny's heart swelled as possibilities unfolded around him. They could create art projects, host food drives, start community gardens. Ideas blossomed like wildflowers. But still, he felt an unease, as if something shadowy lurked just beyond the park's glow. Lisa picked up on it. "What's on your mind?" she asked softly, pulling him to the side where voices faded. "I don't know," Danny admitted. "It just feels like we're moving too fast. What happens if things go wrong? What if we lose this momentum? Then we learn and adapt. We do it together, remember?" She smiled, reassuring him. "Besides, every great movement started with people who were willing to try. That's us." As they stood there, the sounds of laughter and chatter wrapping around them like a familiar embrace, Danny felt the weight on his shoulders begin to lift. Maybe they were just kids, but maybe, just maybe, that was more than enough. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted their moment. They turned to see the remnants of an old park sign tumbling to the ground, splintered wood and rusty nails scattered everywhere. An uneasy silence fell over the gathering. "What was that?" a voice called out from the crowd, eyes wide in shock. Danny's stomach twisted. Had they just attracted unwanted attention? He locked eyes with Lisa. They both knew this was a defining moment. How would they respond? As panic rose, Lisa took a deep breath. "It won't end like this," she said firmly, moving slowly toward the noise. Danny followed close behind, heart pounding like a drum. They had come this far together. Now they needed to confront whatever shadows loomed in their path, together. But as they approached the fallen sign, a troubling thought crossed Danny's mind. If this was just a glimpse of hurdles yet to come, what would they face next? The tense atmosphere wrapped around them like a chill in the air. The crowd held its breath, eyes fixed on the broken sign, its message lost beneath the weight of despair. For a moment, it felt as if all their hopes and dreams had toppled along with it. "What do we do?" Danny whispered, his voice almost drowned out by the rustling leaves. His heart raced, uncertain and heavy in his chest. Lisa stepped closer to the wreckage, kneeling beside the splintered wood. "We fix this," she said, looking back at Danny with fierce determination. "We can't let a sign falling scare us. We're stronger than that." The crowd started to murmur, uncertainty coursing through them like a ripple across still water. Was this a sign of failure? Danny could feel their doubts surfacing, mingling with his own. Anguish tugged at him, his earlier pride beginning to wane. One boy, a familiar face from their school, broke the silence. "Yeah. We can make a new sign. One that actually represents what the park means to us." A flicker of hope ignited in Danny's chest, and he nodded, eager to latch onto the boy's enthusiasm. "Exactly. We could paint it together, make it colorful and full of life. Something everyone can be proud of." As the idea spread, the crowd began to gather around the fallen sign. The unease that had settled moments before slowly transformed. People started to share thoughts, suggestions, even laughter, as they envisioned a sign that stood for their renewed commitment to the park. Mrs. Thompson clapped her hands, beaming with pride. "I love that idea. We can get supplies and host a weekend gathering to make it happen." "Count me in," shouted another voice. Danny felt the swell of excitement pulse through the group. It was more than just a sign, it felt like the beginning of something monumental. He glanced over at Lisa, her eyes sparkling. If they could rally over this, what else could they accomplish? Just then, an older woman, her face lined with years of hard work, approached. "I know where we can find some great paint and brushes. My husband used to paint houses, and I have a few things left from our last project." Her kindness melted the lingering tension, building an unspoken connection with those around her. Danny felt a warmth spread through him. "Thank you so much," he said, stepping forward with renewed confidence. "Let us plan a cleanup day too. Remove the trash and give this park some love." More voices chimed in, ideas bouncing off each other like sparks from a fire. It was infectious. People were nodding, smiling, ready to work together. As Danny looked around, he saw more than just a group of neighbors, they were allies, ready to fight for something meaningful. In the haze of enthusiasm, Danny caught sight of Lisa grinning at him. "See? I told you. We can do more than just talk." But just as the moment felt electrified with possibility, a shadow loomed over the crowd. The man who had challenged them earlier strode forward, face set with a frown. "You really think fixing a sign will change anything? You can paint rainbows all day, but it won't change this community's issues." A hush fell over the group, anticipation coiling tight in Danny's chest again. Would this be the moment their hopes were crushed? As Danny opened his mouth to respond, he felt something deep inside him shift. This was no time for doubt. "It may seem small, but it's a start," he declared, his voice rising above the apprehension. "We're showing we care. That matters more than anything. Who else with us?" Slowly, hands began to rise, one by one, faces lighting up with determination. Danny took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. As the cheers erupted around him, he realized they were not alone. They were united. But just as they began to rally, Danny's eyes wandered to the man's expression. Would he actually turn the tides on them again, or was this their moment to shine? The night air thickened with a new tension. What would happen next? Would they forge ahead with their plans, or would shadows once again creep into their victory? Danny felt a swell of determination rise in his heart as he looked around. This was it. The moment of truth. He could see the energy build among the faces of his neighbors, hope igniting in their eyes. Tonight, they would gather strength, courage, and unity to take back their community. "Listen, everyone," he said, raising his voice over the low murmurs. "Changing this park is just the beginning. This is about us standing up for each other. We can't do it alone, but together, we can make this community thrive." The crowd nodded, the vibrations of excitement filling the air like fireworks. The man who had challenged them, however, remained unyielding. "And how long will it last?" he questioned, skepticism lacing his tone. "One sign? One park? What happens when the council or developers come back with their plans? Danny's heart raced. He didn't flinch. What happens next is up to us. We have the power to change what is happening to our neighborhood, to fight for our homes, our friends, our future. Tonight, we begin to show that we're not backing down. His words sparked a new pulse of energy. What had once felt like doubt, now was transforming into motivation. The crowd began to chant, "Together! Together!" Each voice reinforced their unity and shared purpose. Before the night ended, they planned the cleanup day, brainstormed colorful sign designs, and discussed methods to spread their message, their voices intertwining into a tapestry of hope that surged through their small community. Later, as Danny walked home with Lisa, the stars twinkled above them, mirroring the spark in their hearts. He felt lighter, ready to embrace the challenges ahead. "Did you see everyone? That felt powerful," he exclaimed, a big smile lighting up his face. "Absolutely. I was worried at first, but we've got this," Lisa replied, her enthusiasm contagious. "Tomorrow, let us share our ideas on social media. We can spread the word far and wide." His heart soared. They were writing a new chapter, one filled with community strength, love, and hope. It wasn't about winning or losing, it was about standing for something worth fighting for. Together, the cleanup day arrived, and neighbors filtered in, bringing brooms, paintbrushes, and endless enthusiasm. They laughed and shared stories while they worked. At that moment, with paint smudged on their cheeks and hands full of debris, they were not just building a park, they were knitting together community bonds once frayed, reigniting friendships and newfound alliances. As Danny stepped back to survey their progress, he felt a powerful wave of belonging washed over him. He was no longer just a man in a tough spot. He was a leader, part of a movement larger than himself. The park transformed before their eyes, flowers were planted, old structures painted, laughter and excitement swirling like a warm breeze. That evening, gathered around the new sign adorned with vibrant colors, the elderly Mrs. Thompson stepped forward. "This is not just a park, it's a symbol of what we can do when we come together," she said, tears of joy shining in her eyes. "Thank you for standing up for me and for all of us." Danny felt his heart swell. They had faced storms, shadows, and uncertainty, yet here they stood stronger than ever. They weren't just fighting for Mrs. Thompson's home, together, they had reclaimed their community spirit and sense of family. As he glanced around, the laughter, the connection, the smiles, this was his victory. The darkness that once threatened to consume him had transformed into a beacon of light. In that moment, Danny realized he had found not only his place but also his purpose. Their battle was not the end, it was the beginning of a brighter future. They would continue to fight for their homes, their lives, and the families they held dear. "Together!" he called, raising his hands to the sky. A chorus of voices echoed back, united in resolve, "Together!" Now, it's your chance to join our community. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. And show your support, it makes all the difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how vital it is to support the channel through these actions. Let us spark a change together.